Hey, what's up guys? The final shape gave us new aspects and supers on some of our light based subclasses, but we could use some more abilities to flesh out some of these subclasses. So, I'm making a little video series to do this, one video for each element. We might do 6 videos just for the darkness subclasses, but today we're just doing Void. We're going to go over some changes to Titan, Hunter, and Warlock, some additions to help you have more options in build crafting. Speaking of options, Advanced GG has tons of options for you, from the focus line for when you need energy and to help you focus, to the energy line for energy, sleep to help you go to sleep, and the hydration line to help you rehydrate. There's tons of great flavors that I personally really enjoy, and if you use my code Spycer10, you get 10% off your order, and I get a percentage back paid to me. So yeah, thank you, Advanced GG. So starting with the Titan, what will we do to Void Titan to make it better? Just to start off with, I think a great rework to the Titan as it is now would be to buff Controlled Demo. It's kind of the most lackluster of the 4 aspects on Void Titan. Let's give it the ability to make void breaches by defeating volatile targets. And if you pick up a void breach, you get volatile rounds. This will give you easy access to anti-barrier, and it will help you have, volatile not on a cooldown, essentially. So I think this might not be the greatest change. It'll also give you your class ability energy through void breaches, but I think it could be very helpful to Void Titan in a build that isn't just, Bastion offensive bulwark. Anyways, moving on. They have 3 supers. That's what I'm going for. They have 4 aspects. That's what I'm going for. But they only have 2 melees, so let's add on a third. I want to shoot for 3 melees and, a special class ability for each subclass. So the brand new Void Titan melee would be focused on single target melees. They really don't have one. The shield throw hits multiple targets and it's ranged, while the shield charge can hit multiple enemies. Yeah, it's high-ish damage, mainly with Peregrine Greaves. I want one where you are in one spot, you swing an axe strike, maybe a hatchet strike, but it gives you Devour on hit and deals high damage to a single target. And it would have a shorter cooldown than the other 2 melees because it's focused on one enemy. So, you're doing a massive chunk of damage. You're getting Devour off of it, so that kills after that will, keep you at full health, give you grenade energy. And if you're using Controlled Demo, which is getting buffed with this, that enemy takes a ton of damage. They're volatile. You break the volatile. You have Devour. Enemy dead. You get grenade energy. You're probably full health. Nearby enemies are also volatile, and you keep spreading that volatile, and you'll probably have the Void Axe in your hand again soon, so you just keep hacking away at enemies that are close to you. Next up, we have a new class ability. And I am so sorry, this might be the most unimaginative thing you will ever hear in your life. This subclass is centered around support, the main method being shields and overshields. So what makes sense? Just throw the shield on your arm. It's just unbreakable. But it would be a smaller shield than unbreakable. It's like the old year 1 version of Sentinel shield, where it wasn't like a man shield. And I think it was still smaller than Unbreakable shield. I'm talking like a small shield in front of you. But if you have the Unbreakable aspect, it would make the class ability be larger. And if you have Bastion, it would give Void Overshield to nearby allies. And Controlled Demo would allow you to walk into enemies with this class ability to apply volatile to enemies. That's just an idea. It's kind of weird replacing Barricade on Void Titan in a way that lets it be more aggressive and frontliney. And this is kind of what I came up with, is a thing that already exists, but using the grenade instead of the class ability in this case. So yeah, that's what I got for Titan. A new melee, a new class ability. Let's tweak control demo a little bit, okay, guys? Moving on to the Hunter, the Nightstalker Hunter. Again, they have 3 supers. I don't want to get technical on Shadow Shot. It's 3 supers, okay? But they only have 3 aspects, so let's make a new one. This one is going to focus on the tracker and, you know, the hunter part of being a hunter. Tracking things, you know? Enemies you apply void debuffs to will leave a trail of void energy behind them. If you've ever played Rainbow Six Siege, kind of think of like Jackal and his Jackal vision where he sees the footsteps, kind of like that. But these enemies will also be marked. Final blows on marked targets will create void breaches and an orb of power. Higher level combatants can drop special or heavy ammo. And you're only able to mark 3 targets at a time. But creating orbs of power just basically from applying debuffs is massive. Nightstalker is the most support-oriented hunter subclass, and this just gives them another outlet to do that. Is creating orbs of power and ammo for their allies. But that's just an idea for an aspect. I like the idea of them being more focused on target prioritization and rewarding that not just for themselves but also for their team. Moving on to the melee. Well, melees, because Void Hunters only have 1 melee for some reason. So we're going to give them backstab. This is going to be kind of reminiscent to Destiny 1 backstab. But this melee ability, very, very high damage, and it will weaken enemies. But the damage bonus only activates on melee hits from behind. Just like Destiny 1 Blade Dancer. But it will not one-shot in PvP, okay? It'll still 2-shot in PvP. Backstab in PvP will only apply weaken. That's basically all it will do. Moving on from backstab, which focuses on, you know, being in the backlines, taking out targets, we're moving on to Cloaked Dagger, okay? This is just an idea of a name. And this one is more of a movement ability than a damaging melee. If you're not invisible, you slash in front of you. If you deal damage with that slash, you become invisible. But if you already are invisible, as you melee, you quickly dash forward, turning enemies hit volatile. But the movement with it will be similar to Shiver Strike, where you can just like slide off of people sometimes. But each time you slide off of someone, they become volatile. And the person that gets hit with the main like slash of it will become volatile and probably have the volatile explode on them. And this ability would have 2 charges. That way you could go up to an enemy, proc it to become invisible, do it again to make them volatile and everything around it volatile as you come out of invisibility. And this melee would probably go kind of hard with Gear Falcon's Halberg, especially in like an SMG or a sidearm build where you're already playing up close. It could be really good for that. Now, I do like the idea of making Nightstalker Hunter or Hunter in general more support oriented, like at all, period. But this class ability kind of does, kind of doesn't. Okay? I could have done a thing where it's like, yeah, you dodge and you make nearby allies invisible. But that is already kind of a thing, and Omnioculus would have kind of been really goofy with that build. Maybe in a good way. It probably could use a little more playtime, honestly. But here's another idea. As a Nightstalker, you can dodge, do a flip, whatever. You slam your smoke bomb on the ground. I know you're already thinking it sounds just like an aspect already on Nightstalker Hunter, but hear me out. Instead of turning invisible and making allies invisible, you push enemies away from you and you suppress them. Alright? Now, could we also throw invisibility on you with it? Yeah, probably. Could we throw invisibility on nearby allies with this? Maybe. But I feel like pushing enemies away, like tractor cannon style, they get thrown in different directions away from you, and they're suppressed. That way, they're probably not going to shoot you. You use this in a sticky situation. Enemies are shooting at your allies' ghosts. You need to res them. You do this. You have the aspect on that whenever you use your class ability, you go invisible. You go invisible. The enemies are spread out and suppressed. You get the res. That's what I'm envisioning with this class ability. Tell me what you think on that one. I'm not too sure on these class abilities, honestly. All right, Warlocks. Now is your time to shine. We already got 3 Warlock Void subclass supers, okay? 2 of them are Nova Bomb. Not getting into that, just like I said with Hunter. So, aspect-wise, you know, since the whole thing about Voidwalker is to embrace the void, you know, let it surround us, let it take hold of us, and devour. Devour's the main thing. Why not void breaches? We're eating those yummy void breaches. So collecting them will give us devour. And with devour active, grenade abilities apply volatile, and melee abilities suppress combatants. Defeating void debuff targets creates a void breach, and void breaches have a shorter cooldown for generation. This would make Warlocks, or at least Voidwalkers, a void debuff powerhouse. Maybe void abilities could weaken instead, but, you know, you could use Fellwinter's Helm and do both at the same time, man. So, yeah. This way, you're applying volatile. Your grenades are probably applying weaken, too, I would imagine. And your melee suppress. So you're dealing with overloads. You're dealing with overloads. When it comes to champions, it's not volatile rounds. But yeah, I think this is a good way to focus on your abilities as a Warlock, because I feel like that's a very Warlock thing to do. And you're buffing yourself with Devour, and you're increasing the effectiveness of Devour in a way that is pretty different from Feel the Void. At least in my opinion. Anyways, moving on to melees, which Warlocks have only 1 Voidwalker melee, so let's make 2 more. The first one, placeholder name, Gravity Well. And it's going to be kind of like the current Voidwalker melee, except it doesn't have the weird tracking, doesn't have the weird movement. It goes in a straight line wherever you point it, until it meets a wall, an enemy, or whatever. And it doesn't do a lot of damage, just like the current Voidwalker melee. But instead of pushing enemies away and making them volatile, it pulls them in, allowing you to quickly follow up with a grenade or add clear weapon, and it will weaken. It'll pull them in and weaken them. That way, so you throw it at 1 thrall, okay? And it's going to pull in a ton more thrall. Then what do? You either throw a grenade at them, get Devour, whatever, you know, keep the chain going of buffs and debuffs, or you just pull up, I don't know, a Salvager Salvo, a grenade launcher with chain reaction or something that's heavy, add clear very fast, and you just killed all of those thralls like immediately with that. Okay, that's the idea there. It'll pull enemies in instead of throwing them away. It's sucking them in with gravity, like a vortex grenade. Next up, we got Drain, which, yeah, let's get into it. Believe it or not, you know, a ton of melee abilities in Destiny are projectiles. But in Destiny 1, most of them just made melees better. Like, you just punched, but you punched gooder. So, in that spirit, we're gonna bring Drain back. And when you have Drain equipped, it does higher damage, and you have longer lunge range on your melee. And it only goes on cooldown when you get the kill. Charge melee final blows would give a wellspring type effect, giving you some of your melee energy back, but also energy to your class ability or grenade, or both, depending on what you have charged or not. And it also gives you a small overshield on a short timer on Devour. Basically, the idea behind this is we have just using the Void to be better at basic things like meleeing. I know I said higher damage, higher lunge range. I think, honestly, not higher damage in PvP. It's not going to one-shot. But, you know, longer lunge range, I know, has been a problem in the past on Warlock and PvP. Mostly on the Warlock side, like having longer lunge range. And Bungie's like, okay, we're going to try to fix it by making the animation longer. And it just made it worse, okay? Like, there was occasionally the fight where the longer lunge range on Warlock would win you the fight. But the animation change just made you lose every melee fight. And it felt bad. Because also the longer lunge range, at least in my opinion, it made you just whiff more. Like, melees just weren't connecting with the long range. So there may be issues there. So maybe you don't do the longer lunge. But I feel like in PvE, higher damage, longer lunge on melees until you get a kill is just fine, you know? I don't think I would use it over the gravity well in this case. But I could see some builds where people would be like, okay, I'm going to use this. Because, you know, it's just a strictly better melee, even when it's, you know, it charges faster and it won't be consumed until I get a kill, you know? But, you know, with that being justified out of the way, let's get into the class ability for Voidwalker Warlock that I made. It don't really have a name for it. I jotted down Insatiable Siphon. That sounds stupid, okay? But basically, you take a charge of Void in your hand and you crush it to get Devour. That's it. That's the whole class ability. Maybe it could give Devour to nearby allies, but Devour is a very strong buff, and there is a very good reason why Phoenix Dive doesn't give Resto. It gives Cure, because it's just a one and done thing. Restoration is constant healing. So maybe it could give nearby allies a short timer on Devour, just a little bit of it. But I could see how that could be a issue with some builds and some team comps. So if it only gave the person using it Devour, I would completely understand. And this, I don't think, would overshadow the boots I can't remember the name of. Because I already can't remember the name of them. And I feel like Devour on casting of Empowering Rifts isn't the best thing about that pair of boots. It's probably the overload intrinsic on everything when standing in Empowering Rifts. I feel like that might be the better part of it. But yeah, just consuming a charge of Void to gain Devour. That's a class ability idea right there. That way, Feed the Void, you don't have to, you know, if all you have active is your class ability, you don't have to sit there just waiting for anything else to charge to get Devour rolling. You could just crack your class ability, and then you have Devour. If you need it in a pinch to get some extra health, you crack it, you get some health from Devour, and you could hopefully get the ball rolling on, you know, getting kills and not dying. So in some situations, or most situations, Healing Rift is still probably a better choice. Empowering Rift is still probably a better choice in quite a few situations. But situationally, this could really help you out. You know, it just depends what's going on around you. Anyways, that's going to be it for my ideas to, you know, help out our Void subclasses a bit. I should have Solar next week or the week after. At some point, I'll have one on Solar sometime soon. It'll probably be way shorter because there's just more stuff filled in already on Solar. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, maybe even join. Tell me what you think down below. Like, give me your ideas for different subclasses, buffs, and things that we could do on not just Void, but any flavor of the rainbow. Also, check out Advanced GG. Got a lot of cool stuff. Rainbow Burst flavor. There's a sour one now in Focus Energy. I really love the Rainbow Burst hydration flavor. It's one of my probably is my favorite hydration flavor. But yeah, use code Spycer10. I get money from that. You get 10% off. You know, it's a win-win situation right there. And yeah, check the pinned comment down below. That'll have my referral link to that. It'll have my Discord, links to my other social accounts. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. See ya.